studying at Han University of Applied Sciences. My name is Marlon Bos. I work at Han University of Applied Sciences, and I will be hosting this webinar together with Christina. She's a third-year student of Life Sciences at Han.
Hello, everyone.
Christina, will you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Cristina. My name is Ioana Cristina, but a lot of my friends call me Cristina. As Marlon said, I'm a third-year life science student, so that's the biology program of the Han. I'm 22 years old and I'm Romanian. I'm originally from Romania, and I study in the Nijmegen campus of the Han. I chose to study abroad many years ago, but I actively made a decision in the 10th grade, which is the not the last, but the one before the last class of my high school. And I wanted to find a place abroad where I could study biology because that's something that I'm passionate about. And that's why I chose the Netherlands. And I'll tell you later on why exactly I chose the Netherlands. So that's how I come to study here. I'm in my third year, but I've been in the Netherlands for 4 years, and I can say it's one of the best choices I've made. I also have a broader perspective about what I want to do. I would like to have my PhD in medical biology, so I can combine working in the office and as well as in a lab. So if you have any questions about that, you can also put them in the chat.
Yes, thank you, Christina. Like you already mentioned, we will go over some factual information about studying in the Netherlands and studying at Han. And then we will dive a little bit deeper into your experience, the process that got you to where you am right now. And also, like you already mentioned, your future perspective. So this should be really interesting for attendees to hear from you.
Definitely. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can always put them in the chat.
Yes, it's good that you mentioned that. So if you ask your questions in chat, we'll either try to answer them during the presentation or we'll come back to them when the presentation is over. So first, for those of you who don't know that much about Han yet, it is one of the largest universities of applied sciences in the Netherlands. We actually have two campuses. One is in Arnhem and one is in Nijmegen. Both of these cities are in the east of the Netherlands and they're quite close to each other. On these two campuses, you will find around 37,000 students. So that sounds like quite a lot. But as you can see here on the map of the campus, we have a few buildings on each campus where the students are spread over. So it's not like you are studying with all those 37,000 students in one big building. I actually think it feels pretty small scaled actually. I don't know how that is for you, Christina.
Yeah, it does feel like you're sort of part of a community, especially for the life science student. We have one specific building which you're going to see later on, and I feel like it's not, you don't feel like there are a lot of people. You actually feel like you have a small community, sort of.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and in our English taught programs, you will find around 3,000 international students from over 120 countries. So it's a really cool international environment. So in general, at Han, you can choose from 90 different programs, and 15 of those are taught in English. And I'll mention the programs that we offer later on as well. Well, you've heard me saying University of Applied Sciences a few times now. The thing is that in the Netherlands, there is a divide in the higher education system where you have universities of applied sciences and research universities. The main difference is that at applied sciences, you study 4 years to obtain a bachelor's degree, and at a research university, it's 3 years. The main reason for this is usually that at applied sciences, you also have to do internships during your studies. So at Han, you usually follow two internships, one in the third year and another one in the fourth year, which is your graduation internship. If you want to do a master's at a University of Applied Sciences, it can be from 1.5 to 2 years. At a research university, also from 1 to 2 years. And the main difference is in the approach of the education. So at Han and other universities of applied sciences, you really focus on the combination of theory and practice. Whereas at a research university, the competences you develop are based on academic and research skills. Which means that at a University of Applied Sciences, you do more group work, you work a lot on projects that are taken from the real life. And at a research university, you focus more on independent study. So, Christina, how did you make this decision between applied sciences and research universities?
Actually, when I first came to the Netherlands, I went to Radboud University for half a year, which is a research university. So I got to actually experience the difference myself. I thought, well, because it's 3 years, then it must be faster, it must be easier to do, but it's completely different. Like the whole educational structure is different. And then I switched to the Han, and then I realized, okay, it's a more slower pace. I actually get to learn more of the practical things, and I work with a lot of people. When I used to be at the other university, which was a university actually in itself, it was very much individual work. You didn't really get to have a lot of connections with people. You would only see each other in the break, and even so, you were very busy to do the next thing for the next class. Whereas at the Han, I feel like it's more slow paced, but it really gives you some time to breathe in the process. So I personally, for me, the an University of Applied Sciences, which is such as the Han, was a better choice, was a better fit.
Yeah, I think you explained it very well, and it basically comes down to what matches your personality and what matches your
Yes,
study style as well. So the
yes,
degree you earn in the end, it's the same.
yeah,
So a Bachelor of Science at Han is the same Bachelor of Science you earn at a research university. So it's just a matter of yeah, what is the best fit for you as a student.
yeah, definitely.
So I want to go a little bit into the application procedure before we focus more on your story, Christina. And I actually have a short video that I would like to show that explains our application procedure. I think it's good if we mute our
Yes.
mics so that they don't hear it in echo. Then here we go.
Would you like to study at Han? In 88 seconds, we explain the steps you need to take to apply for a program at Han. Want to join us for a moment? You apply on StudyLink and follow the various steps. Too early is better than too late, but do it at least before the application deadlines. Within 1 week of applying, you automatically receive an email about how to create a Han account. Once you've done that, our admissions office emails you to let you know everything we need from you. Send the details to the admissions office. Do you need to do an English proficiency test? As soon as you've scheduled it, let us know the date. Don't have all the info yet? No problem. Send us the info you do have. For example, your grades list instead of your degree certificate. When everything is complete, Han assesses your admission. If everything is in order, you receive an email with the result of your application. Did you get a positive result? Then continue with the following steps. You're halfway there. We invite you for a matching session. That's an online interview where we check whether the program matches your wishes and interests. If you are then accepted, all that is left is to pay your tuition fees. Congratulations, you're now a Han student. There are still lots of things to do before you actually start studying, such as housing and planning your trip. So, right on time. Did you know that you can track the progress of your application in My Han portal? Good luck and see you soon at Han. Questions? Go to hanuniversity.com/admission.
Well, that in short was our application procedure. Now, Christina, it's been some time since you went through this. Did anything stood out for you? Anything that we missed that was important for you during this procedure?
I feel the only small thing I did extra was to get a sort of reference letter from my teachers, that was also one of the things. I don't think it's compulsory to do, but I also got the sort of reference where they kind of told me what kind of person I am, like my biology teacher, because I wanted to apply to a biology program, and my head teacher, so to say, like my SOBer. Um, they kind of wrote a letter saying who I am as a person and why they would recommend me to the university. But I don't think that that's necessary. That's something I just chose to do.
Mhm.
But for the rest, the application procedure actually went just as smooth as you described it in the video. So
Well,
it's
that's
a
good to
very
know.
smooth process, very easy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. And yeah, on this slide, we also mentioned the tuition fees, which are different for EU students and non-EU students, and also the application deadlines. So if you're interested in a bachelor, or if you want to start the master engineering systems as a non-European student, then you should be in a hurry because you have a few days left to apply before the 1st of June. For EU students, the deadline is later on. You can apply until 15 August, which is rather late. So I would not recommend that because, as you saw in the video, there are a lot of things that you need to take care of before you can come to the Netherlands. So it's probably not best to wait until August. Non-European students, they have to apply earlier, which is mainly because they also have to apply for a visa, or actually Han will apply for a residence permit on your behalf if you're accepted into a program. And part of that is also paying for the financial guarantee. So that's payment that is needed to be able to do the visa application process. And if you choose for this, you can also choose the option to have guaranteed housing for the first year. We'll get into that later as well. And for non-European students, we also offer certain scholarships. For this year's September intake, the deadline for scholarships applications have already passed, unfortunately. But if you want to see more information about that for later years, you can also visit our website, hanuniversity.com/scholarships. Well, about the cities where we're located, I already mentioned both Arnhem and Nijmegen. You can see them on the map here as well, in the east of the Netherlands. It's really close to German border, actually. And yeah, I don't know, Christina, you live in Nijmegen, right?
Yeah, I live in Nijmegen.
At least maybe you can explain best what you think about Nijmegen. What's it like?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Nijmegen, you can see it in the first and the second picture, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very old city. It's the oldest city of the Netherlands. It has a lot of history, and it has this sort of very unique style built buildings in the city center. So it gives a very mixed feeling because in the city center you have this whole architecture which is very unique, and then you go later on and you have the more newly built things like clubs and a lot of shopping malls. So it's very nice in case you want to experience both a very refined taste, if you have that, and also a more fun taste. It's a lot of clubs. It's a very student city. Even if it's the oldest, it's very lively. You can enjoy the nightlife, but also the day life, so to say. You just go during the day. You can take a nice walk into the parks. There are many parks. We also have a very big river called the Vaal, and you can also walk across it. And we also have some beaches on the side. So there's definitely a lot to do for Nijmegen, and I think it's a very nice fit for a lot of different people. That's why I really like it as a city.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely agree. I live in Nijmegen myself as well. So not yeah, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, and also Arnhem is also a really nice city. There are also a lot of green parks in Arnhem if you want to escape the city life for a bit. And what I really like about Arnhem is that it's very well connected. So as you see on the map, it's in the center of the Netherlands, and by train you can easily visit other parts of the Netherlands. For example, if you want to go to Amsterdam, it's an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and the same for the south of the Netherlands. And you can also easily travel by train to other countries from Arnhem. So that's really cool. Yeah, and both are student cities, both Arnhem and Nijmegen. So you really feel that in the atmosphere of the city as well. So it makes it really fun places to study, I think. So that was it for Han and all the practical information I wanted to share with you. I think, Christina, now we can dive into what made you choose the Netherlands and Han, if you want
Yes.
to take over from here.
Yes, of course. So, as I previously said, I chose to study in the Netherlands, and I made this choice to study abroad, but then I also chose specifically the Netherlands. And the question is why? The main reason is because of the study programs. So, in Europe, if you want to study abroad, there are also other countries like Denmark or, of course, UK, but UK is very expensive, as everyone knows. And in all of these, I try to find something that's very much biology based because that's my field of study. That's something that I did in high school for 4 years and something that I really enjoy. But most of the universities or colleges of applied universities would have this very broad mathematics, physics, engineering related programs, which had nothing to do with what I wanted. So I went to a study fair in Romania, and that's where I learned about Han University, which is an English taught program, which is very comparable. The level of study is very comparable to the one we have in the Eastern countries. I would say it's really a continuation from high school, and they really teach you step by step everything that you have to know. So that's why I thought the Netherlands would be a nice fit. It's also a small country, so you kind of feel like after some point you kind of know all the places. You can form yourself a small community. It's very tied up, so to say. So that's the reason why I chose the Netherlands. And the reason why I chose the Han specifically is because of the contents of the program. It had a lot of, and it still has a lot of biology combined with chemistry, a little bit of maths. But as you evolve, you really specialize yourself into the things that you want to study. And in the third year, you can do your internship, but also your major, which is your specialization. It's something that you want to focus on, and you can focus from studying plants to studying the humans in the context of cancer, which I find very interesting, sort of like a med school, if that's what you like, and also biotechnology, which is sort of a combination of both. So you have all of these different profiles you can choose from, and that's something that I really enjoyed that I personally didn't see in any other applied university in the Netherlands. How did I know it was the right fit? I spoke with an SLBer. An SLBer is sort of like a head teacher of the whole class of students, like we also have in high school, a teacher which takes care of one class. And I met an SLBer, which also coincidentally was my SLBer in the first year. And that person introduced me to the Han. I made an appointment with her, and she said, "Yes, just come to my office. I'll just talk you through everything you want to know." And she stayed there for 3 hours with me and explained me everything. And I said, "Okay, this is the place I want to be." So that's something very kind. The staff at the Han, the teachers, everyone is there to help you. So that's also something that I really liked. And throughout the orientation process, of course, I wasn't alone. To move abroad, it's quite a big decision, and I luckily had my parents and my friends and some teachers advice to go abroad. So that's basically how it all came to be in the end. And for the preparations, as in the video Marlon showed, you have sort of like a stepwise thing you have to hold on, which is quite easy. I had the help from an agency, from a third party agency, which kind of helps you with all these documents, and they just send it to the university instead of you. But you still have to make the paperwork yourself. So for me, it would have been like just applying, as in the video said, and it would have been the same thing. So you don't have to use a third party to join the Han because it's quite easy. And as Marlon also said, it's good not to apply in August because, well, the deadline is 15th of August, but I arrived in the Netherlands on the 19th of August, and that was still maybe a bit too late to find housing and to find a place to live. And also a few days after, I had my orientation week, which is a week the Han offers you, where you can see in the picture, the first picture, that's me and my friends from the orientation week. You just go a few days and you kind of do a lot of fun activities around the city you're going to study, a lot of fun activities at the university, at the Han, and you just really meet a lot of people. You really connect with people. But you can imagine it's sort of like a tiring thing to do if you just come there, you do the orientation, then you start your study. So I would recommend you come quite early. Let's say 15th of August, you should already be in the Netherlands with everything prepared and packed. That's my advice, at least. And regarding housing, I can say some small things about it, and Marlon can help me fill in the blanks. I applied using Han Housing, so I sent an email to Han Housing office at han.nl, and I just told them, "Hello, I'm a student. I would like to have a house for the first year, like a place to live." And they gave me some options of several student complexes I could choose from. Um, if I'm not wrong, the if you want to stay with at least like the least amount of people possible, you can stay with either 3 or 2 people, I think. And that's a complex which I stayed in. It's in the city center. It's quite a big one, and I managed to find a spot there. And it was quite nice. You don't have to be with a lot of people if you don't want to, or you can be if you find that more interesting. And then I got a year using that help from the Han for the first year. Then you have to find your own place. But that's basically what I know about housing.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a housing office indeed that can help you finding a room. The first group of students that they hand out the rooms to are non-European students because they need an address to obtain the study residence permit. And then if there are any rooms left, the European students can be placed on a waiting list, and they will give out those rooms on a first come, first serve basis. And even if they don't have a room for you, you can always email them to be put on the waiting list, and then they will also give you a lot of tips on how to find a room by yourself. So it's always good to approach them.
Yeah. And an average week of mine when I go to school is I have a lot of classes. These are all pictures I submitted. So in the first picture, you can see some bacteria in some tubes. This is the microbiology lab, which you are going to do in the second year. And the one behind it is one of my friends. As you can see, we all have lab coats, and this picture was taken in times of Corona because he wears a mask. Now you don't have to wear a mask, and hopefully you won't have to wear a mask again, but we never know. And but the labs still went by as normally as they should, so that's something very nice as well, that the Han made that possible. Usually I would start by having 2 to 3 hours of theory per day. In the first year, I had, I think, 16 hours per week in total of study, so that was very relaxed. And then as I progressed, I got into 20 hours per week, spread into a lot of lab work or a lot of theory. And usually in the first year, I would have at least one day off per week. So 1 or 2 days where I would just stay at home and have time to do all the other things that I need to do. There's also a lot of self-study. Well, not a lot, but some self-study you should do. Like I usually put 10 hours a week extra next to my classes, but as I said, my classes were not that demanding time-wise, so you have time to do that. Or you also have time to take a part-time if that's what you would like. And my advice for the life science would be to just make a lot of notes after the classes. So just make as many notes as you can, and then all of that information will come back into the exams because it's found in the PowerPoints of the teachers. And of course, I also have my own free time. I usually just hang out with friends or I go out. Newly, I'm into photography. I like taking pictures, and I'm in my third year. In September, I start my internships. So you can imagine if I do have some free time to do that, and I think that's very nice. When I used to study at the university, for example, which of course this is my personal experience, I would not have time to do anything in the weekends. I would study 40 hours a week, which is like a full time job. basically, and I wouldn't have time to do what I like. So having this program, which is a bit more slow paced, really helped me focus on myself as well, which is very important unless you want to have a burnout, of course. It's very important to relax as well. And the campus of Nijmegen is a very lively campus. It has a lot of beautiful colors inside the building. Newly, we got the new science building. Our science building got remodeled. As you can see in the picture, you have those hexagonal things. These are newly added, and the lab space got widened up a bit more. So things are constantly changing, are constantly being renewed, which is something I really like. And you have a lot of modern aspects to it, and you have a lot of recreational classes, which I haven't seen anywhere else. You have a music class, you have a painting class. You can do something in the breaks if you want to draw something, or if you want to play a music to an instrument, you can do that. There's special rooms in the main building where you can do that, and I found that very very nice, that the Han cares about the mental health of the students as well. And everyone there is very friendly, as I said, not only teachers helping you with knowledge stuff, but also with life stuff. You can always talk with anyone. You can go in the breaks, just have fun, sit outside with people, uh, play some music, or go inside and eat at the canteen, and there'll always be someone to talk to. And a lot of speaking people as well. And as you can see, the last picture, that's the Christmas tree we did last Christmas. We just put a lot of substances, and we made it sort of like a biology, chemistry Christmas tree, which is something fun, like it's a very relaxed atmosphere. It's not very strict, as to say, and it really makes you feel very, very comfortable, very cozy. It's a very relaxed spirit, something I really like. And these are our very diverse campuses. The one I study in is the second one, the second building.
Yeah, and all these buildings indeed are examples of where our English taught programs are taught. So we have international social work in Nijmegen as well, and then life sciences and also chemistry in the same building. And in Arnhem, we have the International School of Business, where you can study communication and international business. And there are also quite a few engineering programs in Arnhem. So we have automotive engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, embedded systems engineering, and mechanical engineering. And you can see here the pictures of those buildings as well.
They're very, very modern, and I think it really gives sort of like a unique feeling that okay, this is my building, this is where I have to go. It's quite easy to not get lost, I would say.
Yeah,
Uh,
indeed.
I think it's a very nice touch to the design. And about the student life, I met my best friends, which I have for 4 years in my first year. The first year is really a place where you can meet a lot of people. For example, in the first picture, it's also a picture from my orientation week, and I'm friends with very good friends with the two people standing at the edges of the picture. Like they became my best friends. I also had them in my class coincidentally after the orientation week, and it was yeah, it's such a unique experience, and I will always remember those times as being one of the best times. And the last picture you can see, it's also from the orientation week. You can also go, they will take you through the sports center, which is a very big sports center found in the proximity of the Han. It's like 10-minute walking. And at the sports center you can join different sports, and we also had the chance to try some for free. We tried some karate for free in that picture, and in case we were interested, we could sign up with a very big student discount because we were students at the Han. So I already mentioned about the painting classes, the music classes that you have at the Han, and you also have a lot of other things except the gym, like the sports center I talked about. You can join a committee. I joined for some time the ISN, which is the International Student Network, and it's sort of like part of the yeah, concept company. And there I was part of the party committee, so I would just organize parties for international students, and that was a very fun thing to do as well. And if you like bars and clubs, you can also do that either as part of the party committee or or just on your own. There's plenty of things organized every evening, and you can also have a lot of time for part-time jobs in case you need to take a part-time or want to take a part-time. You definitely have time to do that. And but of course there are also some things which you also have to keep an open mind to, which is people who are born here, like Dutch people, people who live here. Of course they tend to stick together more because they have the language that binds them. So it can be that you will come here and maybe you will find it hard when other people will speak other language around you, and you would feel maybe it's personal, or maybe you would feel a bit distraught about it. But there's absolutely nothing personal. It's, you have to keep an open mind that this is a country where these people are born in, and it's their language, of course. So not everything is going to be 100% English, but that still shouldn't stop you from making friends. You can make a lot of friends and you can still join all of these fun things. But yeah, you also have to keep that in mind, that sometimes these people will stick together more. But that never was a bad thing for me, because I kind of got the courage to get out of my comfort zone and try to speak with them, and also learn a bit of Dutch in the process. So there's nothing bad about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of Dutch people, they're really interested to meeting people from other countries. But then at a certain point, because a lot of them, like you said, speak English, so they will
Yeah, they
find it
will.
easy to talk to you. But then when you really want to make friends with them, it kind of becomes harder, because in the end, for the Dutch people, of course, it's more convenient to speak Dutch. So when you get to that point of becoming friends or not, then they tend to switch to Dutch again, I guess. So yeah, but it might help to learn a few words
Yeah,
of Dutch. And we
definitely.
actually started offering classes of social Dutch at
I
Han as
joined
well.
it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. It was very good. I mean, I really got the whole head start of learning Dutch. It's like
Yeah.
2 months, I guess,
Okay,
or something
nice.
like that. Yeah.
Do they cover Dutch culture as well a little
Yes,
bit?
yes, Dutch culture and all of the basic things you need, like how to orient yourself, how to say thank you in a restaurant, how to read a menu.
Okay.
It's
Oh, that's
very, very
very
useful.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see we have a question coming in the meantime about the orientation week. Does it start on the 22nd of August? I think so. I will double check that. Maybe in the meantime, Christina, you can start by telling us what did you like most about your experience in the Netherlands so far?
Yeah, so what I liked the most was the open mindedness of the people. I feel like in the Netherlands, you don't have people looking at you the way you walk on the street, the way you dress. You can be what you want, do what you want, and you have that freedom of speech, which personally I didn't have it in my country as much, as we were more of a conservative country, coming from Romania. And here you can really, really enjoy the full freedom of anything that you want to do. So that's what I like the most personally.
Well, that's a really big plus, I think.
Definitely.
I'm sure that there are also things that you did not like as much as in any country.
Yeah,
Is there
I
anything that really, I don't know, shocked you about the Netherlands, or that you
uh,
just don't like that much?
for me personally, I didn't find as many things that I didn't like. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed here, I think, or want to stay here, which I do want to. That's also a thing I didn't mention. I do want to live here later on after I finish my studies. So then I didn't find as many things I didn't like. It's just yeah, the shock came when it was hard for me to understand why so many people would talk Dutch, especially when we had some English classes. They would still talk in Dutch in between each other, and I felt a bit left out. But again, that's not the case, because the moment you approach the people, they would switch to English. That's not a problem. But you imagine when you come from a different country to a new country, you really want to start fresh, make a lot of friends. And somehow that felt kind of impossible for me to do that easily. But of course, you also have a lot of international people which always speak English, and everyone speaks English in the end. It's just, that's the only thing, but that's normal. As I previously said, it's like you go to a country where people speak the country's language. That's quite normal. That's
Yeah, and probably it's also a matter of people having to get used to being in an international classroom in their own
yeah,
country,
of
because
course.
that's quite a unique experience as well. Yeah, but it's always good to mention it and ask if they can maybe switch to English so you can follow as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So are you still satisfied with the choice you made? I think we kind
Uh,
of got that from your presentation already.
yes, I'm very, very happy with the choice that I made. Yeah, for me, it's the best decision I ever took, and I feel like this will really shape the rest of my future, and let alone the yeah, like the way I am as a person. I feel like I changed so much since I came to the Netherlands. I became more open-minded myself, and not only the job opportunities are very good here, you can get a lot of jobs, you can also get paid a very good salary. It's also the people. Like, I think it's important at the end of the day when you go home and you want to talk with your neighbor, you know, you have someone who's gonna smile at you, who's gonna help you manage your house when you live on vacations. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking very broadly, but I think it's very important to live in a country where you feel, first of all, safe, and you feel like you can be respected and respect others and have a very, you know, yeah, very, it's a very nice social construct here. And that's something I didn't find in the country I was born in. And I feel like I match more with this country. But that's, of course, my experience. But a lot of my international peers have the same feeling. That's why they also came to study here.
Yeah, and I think indeed, like you say, if you are planning to build your future here as well, then it's also important to take into consideration if the culture matches with, yeah, what you're looking for in a living environment. Indeed.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually see that someone asked a question, which I think is a good question. If it took you a long time to get used to talking English most of the time, because you don't really talk a lot in your mother language anymore, probably.
No, no, I just talked to my parents over the phone in Romanian. But for the rest, well, I always liked English, so I always had quite a high level. But there is a difference between speaking English during your English classes at high school and learning in English. It's a huge difference. And it took me mentally about 3 months to not translate into my own language anymore and to go very fluently. So I don't think it's hard. A lot of people do it. A lot of people pass it. So I don't think learning in English is a barrier, but it can take 2 to 3 months to not translate everything. When I would make notes at first, I would write them in Romanian mixed with English. Now everything I do is English. So yeah, it takes some time, but in the end you get the grasp of it. And I never failed an exam because I didn't understand the English or I couldn't concentrate in English.
Hmm.
So it's not an obstacle, I would say.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. So I have a last question for you. How do you think Han contributes to your future?
I think let alone the study, which is very rich in what they're doing, and yeah, like the way it's structured and what it offers. It's also the teamwork is something that completely changed a lot of things for me. Like, I was really just put on the spot. Okay, you come here and you want to do something, but try to do it with a team of people you've never met before. And that's a very big challenge, but it helped me become so much more extroverted, and which is something I wanted to do but I never had the courage to. And so, let alone being out of your comfort zone, being in a new country, you also get encouraged to really change yourself by working in a team of people, presenting a lot of things, a lot of presentations, which can sound very scary. But the moment you do it, you develop so much. You're not afraid to do so many other things, which initially you would have never done before. So not only did it help me, yeah, get a lot of knowledge, and I know I'm going to be a good biologist later on, I'm also going to be a good human, a more responsible, mature, functioning human, I would say. Just getting all these social skills very advanced into my brain and into everything that I'm doing. So that's definitely this is the whole picture of how the Han contributed to my future, I would say.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad that you had such a good experience at Han so far. And like you said, you have 1 year approximately of studying left, right? You're going to do a graduation internship.
And yes, you can actually choose in which order you want to do your third and fourth year. So I didn't do my internship yet, and I'm finishing my third year because I chose to do it in my fourth year. So I have two internships, one after another, because
Okay.
it's easier for me to do it like
Yeah.
that.
And then you mentioned that you want to go on to do masters and PhD, so you're
Yes,
probably going to be studying for quite some time,
yes,
right?
yes, definitely. But it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's something that I don't feel pressure to do. So it's not a problem.
Yeah, I think for students in life sciences, it's a common choice to go on to do a master's, right?
Yes, oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think in other programs, it's more, there are more students who go to work right after their bachelor's, but life sciences and chemistry are two of the fields where students really like to go on do a master's, sometimes even a PhD.
Yeah, and but you don't have to. That's also a thing. If you don't want to, you don't have to, and you can still get a very good job,
If you would like
which
to
is
work
nice.
straight after, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I see a question coming in. How long before the start of the semester should you move to the Netherlands? I think you said a week or two, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks, I would say. 2 weeks, like 15th of August, and then you start semester in the beginning of September. I would
Yeah,
say 2 weeks. It's good.
yeah, because it's also good to mention that if you have a room through the Han Housing Office, then the room will be furnished with the basic things. But if you rent a room by yourself in the private sector, you should check about furnishment to see if it's there or not. So maybe when you arrive, you still have to sort out getting your room furnished, and you need some time for that as well, of course.
Definitely.
And someone wants to know, do you have a part-time job? How did you manage financing everything? If you're
Uh,
comfortable sharing.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Well, luckily, I had my parents, which managed to support me financially. But as I mentioned, I transferred from a university to an applied university, and in between, I had 6 months where I didn't had anything to do. So then I took a part-time job, and that helped me pay my expenses because I didn't want to give up my student room, even if I wasn't studying. So I kept on working, and I took a part-time job. I even took a part-time job in HR, human resources, which is
Oh,
like,
wow.
okay, that's a very, yeah, but I mean, I just went to a company. I was speaking in English, and they were like, oh, okay, I really like the way you are. You don't have a diploma, you don't have anything, but I really like you, so I'll hire you for like 2 months, 3 months, and
Oh,
then I had
wow.
to go. Yeah, it's quite good, like you can also just do. And I also had a job before that as a dishwasher. Like I would just wash the dishes behind the restaurant, and also do some waitress job in between. So that was also in English, that was also fine. I didn't have to know Dutch for it, but what I mean is you have such a high variety if you want to look for it of jobs that you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities indeed. Yeah. Do you have any tips on how to save money as a student?
Yeah, don't go to Albert Heijn. that's that's a supermarket here, which is the Dutch local one. It's quite expensive, I would say. But I think if you well, the first day you come at the Han, and during the orientation, you have a presentation about everything: public transport, how to get a public transport card, and where to shop, and and of course, all the places are very good. But if you really look at it and try to find the cheapest supermarkets, that would save you a lot of money. And
Hmm.
also choose to get a lot of food yourself. I know it's annoying to cook for yourself, but that will save you a lot of money. Ordering is quite expensive. And if you get some frozen food as well, you can also choose and preserve for longer. You can also freeze your bread. For example, if you buy a big bread because it's cheaper, just freeze half of it and use it later on. Like, these are all small tips you can use to just make it cheaper for yourself, save some money.
Yeah, good points. Someone is asking, should you book a room before you know if you've been accepted, or should you wait? Um, Personally, I would prefer to wait until I know for sure that I'm
Oh
accepted.
yeah, definitely. And you cannot get a student room from the Han unless you're a student, I think. right?
That's also a good point. Yeah, for some organizations, if it's specifically student housing, you need to be able to show that you're
A
a
student.
student at home to get the contract. Then, of course, if you apply and you don't have your high school diploma yet, then you will get a conditional acceptance. I would say that that's also good enough if you are on the course to obtain your high school diploma to know that you're going to be studying at home. So if you want to, if you're going to wait for the final acceptance, that's going to be too late to find a room. So the conditional acceptance that should be good enough.
I think so as well.
Another question: is there a student cafeteria or a meal plan? A meal plan, no. A student cafeteria, yes. But in my opinion, it's a bit expensive. I wouldn't go there daily. How about you, Christina?
Yeah, I also think the same. The student cafeteria is a great place if you want to get anything from salads to sandwiches to hot food as well, like soup. So you have a lot of options. It's better you cook them yourself at home to save some money. So that's a good point.
Yeah, and also they don't open until
12.
dinner hours. So they are usually open until 5 or so. So it's
Yeah.
not very common in the Netherlands to have meals, the warm meals at the university. You'd rather do that at home.
Yeah.
But that also gives you a nice opportunity maybe to cook together with fellow students, with other students living in your house maybe, so you can get to know them better. And it's also a way to save expenses again if you eat with more people.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
So let's see if there are any more questions coming in. And Christina, you mentioned that you live with, or you lived with 2 or 3 other students.
Yes.
And how did you find living with other students? Because that was probably a first as well, right?
Oh yeah. For me, it was to go away from my parents and suddenly start living with people I've never met before. Also, it's nice to mention the people I was living with were not even from my study program. They were not even from the same university, because I was living in a student complex that had mixed students from both main universities in Nijmegen, which are Han and Redboud. Redboud is a university and Han is an applied one. So they just combined students, and I just met 2 students, one from psychology and another girl from America doing some sort of international business masters. So it wasn't even from a bachelor. So it's so nice because I met them and we became very good friends. And I didn't find a problem living with people. Of course, it also makes you a bit more brave in certain social situations because someone leaves the house messy and you have to ask them to please do that. And but I think it's nice to have someone being there for you, like you want to sleep and it's sort of a safer feeling. You have 2 people sleeping next to you in other rooms.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a very nice experience. And in your student life, you should experience it at least once, I would say.
Yeah, I think the main thing is also good communication, right? If you set
Yeah.
some ground rules and express when something's not going too well, then you avoid major conflict.
Conflict.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Christina, can you share what is your experience with the public transport, and do you have any tips on how to make it cheaper? Is there a ticket for students?
Well, I searched this for many years, and unfortunately, unless you work for 56 hours a month, you cannot get free transport as an international student, nor a discount. That's something you kind of have to get used to. You can, however, take subscriptions. Personally, I used to live in the city center, which is 10 minutes by bike. Biking is literally the cheapest options you can have. You get a bike and then you bike there, then you don't pay anything. Otherwise, you can get a subscription, which I now have. I'm doing my minor in another city. So instead of paying 150 euro per month for the train, which is a train, so it's more expensive, I pay 120, which is 30 euro. You save every month at least. And you have free unlimited, going on that specific route that you chose. So I think taking a subscription can be cheaper, but most of the student complexes you're going to live in are located very close to the Han. So that way you can even walk. If you like walking, sure, 40 minutes, it's a lot. For some places, 20 minutes. I think that's the cheapest alternative you can have, or biking.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, public transport can be a little bit on the expensive side in the Netherlands. And like you mentioned, if you take out a student grant, then you're eligible for um, free transportation as well. But to take out the grant, you need to work at least 56 hours, and it's only open to EU students as well. So yeah, that's something that we could improve in the Netherlands, definitely.
Yeah.
We might start a petition. But definitely biking is the way to go. Yeah, you can get a decent bike for, I don't know, 75, maybe 100 euros.
Yeah.
And if you take good care of it and invest in a good lock as well, then it can last for a few years. So
Yeah,
that's definitely a good option.
definitely.
Well, I don't see any other questions coming in. So I don't know, Christina, do you have maybe one last piece of advice for anyone thinking about going to the Netherlands or just studying in another country in general that is maybe nervous or doesn't know if it's the right option?
Yeah, I think, well, what I learned personally is that you would have more regrets not doing something than doing something, because the moment you do it, you at least know you did it and you saw the outcome. And I don't think it's a regret, even if you would find out it's not the best fit. I think without trying, you would lose more. The amount of experience you get from living in a new country, and such a safe country like the Netherlands, I really don't feel there's a good reason for you to not like it here or to want to stay here for a couple of years eventually. So I personally just give the advice to try and to keep an open mind and just have a lot of fun and try to relax, because the pressure to study and the pressure to adapt, I don't feel it's so harsh here compared to my country. For example, I feel like there is a lot of help you can get. The hospital system is also very good. You get an insurance, and as a student you get money back. So, and with that insurance, you have to pay a certain amount of money yourself, but when you exceed it, it's for free. For example, I had a nose surgery because I couldn't breathe, and I went to a specialist, and the surgery was like 2,000 euro, and I didn't pay anything. And he was one of the best surgeons, and now I can perfectly breathe after like 20 years of not being able to. So again, if you have any medical problem or anything, you can also come and just, yeah, I don't see any downside to living here. So my advice would be to just do it and
Just go
see how
ahead
you
and
feel. Just go ahead
take
and
the
do it.
step.
Yeah.
Well, that's good advice. I think by that we should wrap it up for today. I will leave our contact information in the chat in case people think of any questions. You can email us here at Han University or study at Han. And you can also find us on socials, which is Han University _com. We're on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, maybe we'll see you there. And hopefully we'll see you guys in September or next year somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christina, for being here with us and sharing your experiences coming to the Netherlands and studying at Han. I hope it was useful for the visitors. And yeah, thanks for attending, everyone.
Thank you for attending and thank you for having me.
You're
And
welcome. Have a nice day.
have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.